Am I coming, ma'am?
Sasikumar, please come in.
Good afternoon, sirs. Good afternoon, ma'am.
Please take a seat.
Thank you, ma'am.
Vishnu.
Yes, ma'am.
So Vishnu, tell us about yourself.
Good afternoon, ma'am. Good afternoon, sirs. My name is Vishnu Sasikumar. I was born in Kerala. I have been brought up in Gujarat. I did all of my schooling in Gujarat. In 11th and 12th, I took humanities, and post that, I did my graduation in BA Political Science and Economics from St. Stephen's College, Delhi University. Since then, I have been preparing for the civil services. Based on the results of Civil Service Exam 2022, I have secured All India rank 394 and I have been allocated to the Danix service. And on December 26, 2023, I joined Danix and I'm currently undergoing training.
Oh, wonderful. So what took you to Gujarat? Your parents worked there?
My father actually migrated to Gujarat before his marriage, so he had been there since 30 years. So my mother also post marriage, she also went to Gujarat, ma'am.
So how many languages do you speak?
Ma'am, I speak Hindi, Malayalam, Gujarati I can understand and I can read, but I'm not fluent in speaking Gujarati. And Sanskrit, ma'am, I had learned till 8th standard, so I can read Sanskrit, but I cannot, I'm not very fluent in that.
Okay. You were a delegate at India, China, and Indo-Azerbaijan Youth Roundtable Dialogue.
Yes, ma'am.
Where did this take place?
Ma'am, it was at the Delhi, the Indo-Azerbaijan Roundtable Dialogue was at the Azerbaijan Embassy in Delhi, and the China one was at the India Habitat Center in Delhi itself.
So what's happening in Azerbaijan? You know, there's a problem happening there. Armenia, Azerbaijan. What is it? Do you know anything about it?
Ma'am, the backdrop of the same lies in the Nagorno-Karabakh conflict, whereby whereby two wars have been fought between Armenia and Azerbaijan. In 1990s, the Armenians won the war, but in the recent 2020 conflict, Azerbaijan, they were able to wrest back the control. And currently, ma'am, there is also conflict between Armenians and the Azerbaijan on the sensitive Lachin corridor, which is a very important corridor of transportation within the enclave of Nagorno-Karabakh, ma'am.
You have published articles on international relations through think tanks.
Yes,
Tell us a
ma'am.
little more about this.
Ma'am, during COVID, I was interning. I had an opportunity to intern with certain think tanks on an online basis. So, as a part of my duty, I got an opportunity to publish certain articles on their blogs, ma'am.
So, what articles did you publish?
Ma'am, so as a part of my daily duty, we published articles on the weekly watch on regions in Asia. Then, ma'am, after that, as part of my monthly duty, I published articles like how the West is giving China the space by imposing sanctions unilaterally on other countries, strengthening the Chinese hegemony. And ma'am, then also I wrote about the domestic politics also, like analyzing the Bihar elections. So in the spectrum of political science and international relations, I got an opportunity to write the article.
Which is this think tank with you?
Ma'am, I wrote articles as a part of Raisina House think tank.
Okay.
And then also as a part of Kalinga Institute of Indo-Pacific Studies.
Ah, Chintamani Mahapatra.
Chintamani,
oh,
sirs.
very good. Yeah, exactly. Wonderful.
Thank you.
So, is the world becoming a more dangerous place? Will 2024 be extremely dangerous?
Ma'am, looking at the current era of conflicts that are happening in Russia, Ukraine, and in the Israel-Hamas war, 2024 is alarming for us because the conflict of Ukraine began in late 2022 and still the world hasn't seen an end of it. So I think we must be very cautious enough. At the same time, ma'am, we must be optimistic enough because this optimism would only help us to ensure that we are going forward with the peace deals, trying to make efforts to negotiate between both the countries.
Thank you. Thank you,
Vishnu. Vishnu, you're from Kerala.
Yes, sir.
It's called the God's own country.
Yes, sir.
Of late, there have been some demographic changes.
Yes, sir.
Which are in the news and not for the right reasons.
Yes, sir.
If you are in touch, can you please analyze the situation presently?
Yes, sir. So currently the ratio of the elderly population in Kerala has actually gone very up. At the same time, sir, the loneliness among the elderly population and the prevalence of the idea of a locked-in houses has actually gone up so high that the Kerala government had to impose tax on these locked houses as a matter to earn revenue. So the reasons for these are multiple. So first, it is the declining birth rate due to the demographic efforts that the Kerala government took place under the population control measures, which have led to one child or two children within one family. So secondly, there is a lot of emigration that is happening out of Kerala, especially among the second generation and third generation people, and they are not coming back to the homeland. So as a result, their parents, they are left behind in their homes. So these are the two prominent reasons why this trend is picking up, sir.
What do you hold as the right media policy which the country should follow? And if it is on the right path, then what changes would you like to implement?
Sir, I couldn't understand the question.
Right. The neutrality of new media
Yes.
is an important factor for a democratic country.
Yes.
At present, how are the things?
So the current state of media is not in a very good shape, the private-owned media, sir, because what we are seeing is sensationalization of news, and a lot of truth is not being uncovered. And at the same time, sir, we have the state-owned medias like the Doordarshan, DD India, Sunset TV, which are actually coming up with a lot of with important content, which is helping people in unbiased opinions, and is also welcoming people from different diverse walks of life, enabling people to make an informed choices on the different issues. So I think what the private media can do is, rather than running behind the TRP contents and ratings and profit motive, if they learn from the government owned medias regarding the inclusiveness and diverse policies, diversity of voices that needs to be factored in. And I think, sir, the media, the position of media within India can be improved.
Do you think there's a need for regulating corporate funding in this field?
Sir, given that corporates do have vested interest, we might need to curb, or we might need to regulate the corporate funding. At the same time, sir, while we do that, we need to ensure that other alternate means of crowdfunding or other funding is available to media houses. Because if one way of the channel is blocked, then it might affect the quality of the news and information that is being put out, sir.
And coming to the new parliament,
Yes, sir.
you've been a student here.
Yes, sir.
Comparing the old building with the new one, which one do you like and why?
Sir, I actually like both the parliament houses because I really like the circular
Let me say, which one do you like better?
Sir, I think I would go with the new Parliament House, because the new Parliament, though both of them house the temple of democracy, the new Parliament is more indigenous in its structure. I have not been aware of certain indigenous symbols like the Makar Dwar, which are really beautiful. And the new Parliament building containing such structures, they have really kindled interest in me regarding the indigenous culture. So I would place the new parliament above the old parliament, sir.
You might have read about renaming of certain cities,
Yes, sir.
and even the Mughal Gardens has been renamed.
Yes, sir.
What's your view on that?
Sir,
Is it necessary?
Sir, the renaming of cities should not be politicized as such, but rather, sir, they are markers of history. So because there are certain memories that are associated with such places, and if such names, if they are to trigger in trauma for the local population over there, and if there is a demand made by the local population to change the name, then I think, sir, it should be changed, but it should not be politicized and used for agenda purposes, sir.
Is it being so?
So currently, I don't think it is being used for agenda purposes, but there is unnecessary politicization about the changing of names.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
There is a Supreme Court verdict on this. Do you know about this?
Sorry, sir, I'm not aware of
Okay.
that.
Yes. So Vishnu,
Yes.
I see that you have mentioned rail fanning
Yes, sir.
as one of your hobbies or
Yes.
whatever, extracurricular activities. So, see, you come from Kerala also, no?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. And from Kerala to Goa
Yes, sir.
runs the railway line, Konkan Railways,
Yes, sir.
which is one of the few railway lines in India, which is not run by the Indian Railways.
Yes.
You know that?
Sir, I'm not completely aware of that, sir.
Okay. So that's one of like a joint venture, you can see, private-public partnership.
Okay.
But it's not running well. On the other hand, we have also announced, because we are interested in international relation, at G20, a big announcement has been made about IMEA,
Yes, sir.
the India, Middle East, Africa, Europe project. Yeah? And a great part of it is railways.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So how do you see the future of railways in that international project? Whether the model which Konkan Railways follow or the model which the Indian Railway has? Like the pure government financed entity or a corporate entity, which should be the model which should be chosen?
Sir, sir, I think there should be a balance between the two, because when we look within India, Indian Railways is also a service provider for millions of Indians to travel. So the government, if there is a government model, then it must be solely by the government, because travel should also be affordable to many people, and it will also reduce the logistics cost for the private players.
I'm talking in context of that IMEA.
Sir, in the context of IMEA, and I think a public-private partnership model, a PPP model, would be on the better run, because we might have the expertise of the best players around the world who have the cutting-edge technology. At the same time, some sort of government regulation over the prices would help to chalk out clear policies regarding the same, which might not be having some vested interest.
Okay. And do you think that if that is so, do you think that India will be able to generate enough volume of freight which would be able to support the cost of that railway project, which will be huge?
Sir, I'm positive, given that India is in the bright spot of the current world order in the economic relations. While the global economy is slowing down, India is on a path of having 7% of economic growth. So, sir, I'm optimistic that India would have the capacity to generate that much volume of freight in order to make it profitable, sir.
Okay, okay. So now sticking to the railway side only, yeah, we have seen quite a large number of activities around improving the Indian railway system, particularly passenger traffic. Yeah, also of course freight traffic, no, because we have Western dedicated freight corridor, Eastern with freight corridor. So in the passenger traffic, one is this high-speed rail.
Yes.
Okay, and Vande Bharat is touted as one of the glaring examples of success, no? But the speed of the train still is at 130 kilometer. So what is that which is actually prohibiting the Indian railways to actually turn into this as a semi-high-speed rail or high-speed rail?
Sir, the issue actually lies with the track structure within the country. We are having a broad gauge railway line, which is 1.6 meter long. So, as per the technical safety guidelines, also the maximum speed that a train can travel is around 160 to 170 kilometer per hour only in the full capacity. And so, secondly, given the high density of trains within the country, and we follow a block system, whereby if a certain train enters a particular block, only after if that train has passed that block, then only the other train will be allowed to enter for safety purposes. So I think those are
These are technical challenges, and these are not very difficult to surmount.
Yes, sir.
There are much more than that, no? So what are those challenges?
Sir, is it the density of the trains within the country that is very high, and the railway lines are actually built in such a manner that there are a lot of curves. We have to overpass a lot of bridges around. So as a result, the train has to slow down a bit in order to pass the safety guideline norms as well, sir. So that might be one of the reasons why the trains in India are not able.
Just think over it, because by your own submission, the technical capability is to run at 160 kilometers, no? And trains have run. but still the speed of Vande Bharat is limited to 130.
Yes.
Is not more than that, yeah. So there's still a gap. So yeah, and which is like the best engine, loco which India has produced in terms of freight carrying capacity.
Sir, it's the Medha locomotive works along in line with the Siemens they have created. I'm not able to remember the names, sir.
And what's the capacity?
Sir, I'm not able to remember it. I'll
Okay.
definitely look upon it.
Okay, because this was big news.
Yes, sir.
This is
It
a
was
big
an
news.
indigenous
12,000 horsepower.
12,000 horsepower. Yes.
Previously, all the engines were 6,000 horsepower.
Yes.
Okay. My last question to you. You come from Kerala, born and brought up in Gujarat, studied in Delhi.
Yes.
So, what are the three distinct political differences? Sorry, the most important political difference between these three states as student of political science.
Yes, sir. Sir, looking at the level of political decentralization among all these three states, so Kerala has the most has devolved most amount of power to the local self-governments right from the beginning in the 1950s through the People's Action Plan, which was not the case with that of Gujarat and Delhi. So Delhi got its own legislative assembly in 1990s after the GNCTD Amendment Act. So it was a union territory earlier. So that is also one of the fundamental difference between Delhi, Gujarat, and Kerala. So secondly, if we look at the level of the commitment of government or the priority area of governments in Gujarat, Kerala, and Delhi. So Kerala focused more on economic development through human investment, human capital investment, by investing on education and healthcare sector, while Gujarat focused on more of a physical infrastructure, which believed in a trickle-down model, where physical infrastructure would mean more investment, bringing in more employment, and that would lead to a virtuous cycle of growth. So Delhi, I'm not sure about that because I've not had much experience.
Delhi is a confused state.
Yes.
Okay. So which one you will prefer? The Kerala model or the Gujarat model? Trickle-down economy model or a model which is more pervasive in terms of parallel development?
Sir, I think I would choose a model which has a mixture of both because high economic growth is needed for prosperity and only when that prosperity is equally divided among
So you still believe in the trickle-down economy?
yes, sir.
Okay. Without or with a strong state?
With the strong state, sir.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Vishnu, I am really happy to see someone who has IFS as the first choice.
Thank you, sir.
So, coming back to your basic knowledge of Sanskrit language, what Sanskrit phrase defines Indian foreign policy today?
Sir, it's the idea of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam.
Okay.
The whole world is one family.
Yeah. When you say Indian foreign policy, when you think of Indian foreign policy, what aspect of that comes first to your mind?
Sir, the idea of Vishwamitra or the friend of the world comes to my mind because whenever we associate India, we see India coming as the first responder in the region whenever any issue comes up. For example, we had the Turkey earthquake where India sent its humanitarian aid through the NDRF teams. When the world was in COVID crisis through Vaccine Maitri, then at the same time, sir, when the Russia-Ukraine war was going on, we had Operation Ganga, where we not only evacuated Indians, but also Pakistanis and Nepalis who were stranded over there, sir. And even, sir, historically also speaking, when Maldives was in threat, Operation Cactus was launched by India to save Maldives. We also supplied drinkable water to Maldives, sir.
What is China plus one strategy?
So China plus one strategy is a method of decoupling from China, whereby the countries are now looking forward to have one more base of production apart from in China because they understood the vulnerabilities of over-dependence on China after the COVID pandemic, sir.
Earlier, the chairperson asked you about whether the future is bleak, future of the earth is bleak. I want to go back to that sentiment. Whatever is happening in the world today, in physical terms, also in terms of environmental degradation, do you really feel hopeful that in 50 years' time, your children and their children will be able to live in a world as peaceful as today?
Sir, I'm optimistic that we will live in a hopeful world ahead also, sir. So because we have now understood the concerns, the issues that the world is facing in terms of environment as well as in terms of the conflicts. So in environments, a few years back when we talked about green energy, nothing was much visible, sir. But now today when we see a lot of electric vehicles that are flying in India. We see a lot of focus on renewable energy. We are now seeing a much renewed importance given to conference of parties of the UNFCCC, which was not the case earlier. So I think the world is now coming to the notion that there are risks that are associated with the current world, and we all need to come together in order to eliminate that so that the future remains bright.
This is only one aspect of the hope. The second aspect is, what about humans themselves? They themselves are changing in such a way that they are becoming robots, and the robots are taking over as human duties. And men are children. You can look at young children. They are all glued to the mobile phones and playing games and this and that. The whole norm of society is changing. How can you be hopeful for the society in 50 years' time? What brings hope?
Sir, as you said, the world is now glued to machines, they're glued to phones. So, but then machines and phones have also become a medium through which people can learn values, they can learn the norms, and we can also promote the ideals of our society through such machines, sir. So, I think I'm still optimistic, sir, that.
Okay, I give in to your optimism. But for a person like you, I'm quite puzzled that your hobby is rail fanning.
Yes.
I would have expected something like reading non-fiction books or reading on international relations. But you are saying rail fanning. Why is that?
Sir, I also read non-fiction books as well.
Okay.
But rail fanning, sir, it's something which I have continuously engaged since my childhood and which really also gives me interest.
Have you coined a new word, or is it there in the Britannica?
Sir, it is there in the Britannica. So
Okay.
it is an alternative word for the technical term for ferroequinologist.
Oh, all right. If you read non-fiction books, have you read The Glass Palace?
No, sir, I haven't read it, sir.
All right. I think I'm done.
Good evening, Vishnu.
Good evening, sir.
You have been connected with 3 states.
Yes, sir.
Can you give me quick cultural observations and differences between all these, Kerala, Gujarat, and Delhi?
So the differences.
Cultural observations as well as differences.
Okay, sir. Sir, one thing common between Gujarat and Kerala is that due to the presence of coastlines, there are a sizable number of fishermen community in both the states. And sir, also due to the historical presence of coast, both of the states have been very much engaged in the trade activities. We see connections of trade in the Indus Valley civilization, the Lothal port in Gujarat, and we have the Muziris port in Kochi, near Kochi in Kerala. So Delhi, it is more of a it was a more of a landlocked state, so it was more prominent for its trade routes, the landlocked trade routes, the Central Asian Silk Road. So secondly, I think so Delhi, I found it more cosmopolitan than Gujarat and Kerala because given its strategic location and its designation as the national capital region. While I have lived in Gujarat, in small city of Gujarat, so I did not find much influence, cosmopolitan influence in that state, sir. So coming to the culture, the food aspect, so the food in Gujarat is more on the sweeter side, while in Delhi and Kerala, I find it more on the spicier side. And the prevalence of fish in the local cuisine is more in Gujarat and Kerala compared to that of Delhi, sir.
In your hobbies section, you have also mentioned teaching.
Yes, sir.
So you like to teach?
Yes, sir. I had been teaching economics to class 11th and class 12 students during the COVID years, during my graduation days. And after that, I had to stop it because I took up the Danik service, sir.
Okay. Are there good or bad teachers? What separates them?
Sir, a good teacher, the difference between a good teacher and a bad teacher is a good teacher must be a good listener, should be patient enough, and should understand and cater to the needs of each child accordingly, sir. Because if we treat all children equally, then that is an injustice that we are doing to the children. And I think that is what differentiates a good teacher from a bad teacher.
Vishnu, what's your view of coaching institutes? From past 2-3 decades, there has been a mushrooming growth in the coaching institutes. What's your view on that?
Sir, the mushrooming of coaching institutes is mainly due to the information asymmetry that is there among the people regarding the examinations that are there. And there are some positives as well as negative sides of it, sir. The positive side is that, sir, coaching institutes might help some people who don't have a regimented daily schedule or a direction as to how to proceed with an examination by using their expertise to guide a student. At the same time, sir, they are also misguiding people using false advertisements and marketing tactics just to earn money, sir.
Very interesting. Lastly, I would like to ask a question on gender stereotypes.
Yes, sir.
Do you think going above the gender roles will be acceptable in today's Indian modern society?
Sir, I could not understand the question.
Going above the gender roles.
Yes, sir.
This is a question related to gender stereotyping.
Yes, sir.
Like men will always work, women will stay at house.
Yes, sir.
You know? Do you think the Indian modern society will accept if somebody is going above the gender roles, the stereotyped gender above roles?
So there will be opposition to if we go above the gender norms, but that opposition should not be a deterrent for someone to go above it, because the reforms happen like this only. Even if we look at Sati, which was a very dehumanized act, the reforms happened even though there was strict protest from Indian society. So if it is correct, if it go, and the constitution also provides for equality. So if that is as per the constitution and as per the law, so we must definitely go above the current gender constructs in order to ensure that the correct reforms happen within the society, sir.
Thank you, Vishnu.
Thank you, sir.
Vishnu.
Yes, ma'am.
You mentioned about India giving humanitarian assistance to Turkey.
Yes.
Was it a good step? Because after all, Turkey has not been particularly helpful to us or being behaved in any way in a friendly manner. So why are we going on giving, humanitarian assistance to a country like that?
Ma'am, it has helped us to enhance our soft power abroad, and it has also helped to cultivate a good feeling for India among the people of Turkey. So, as a result, ma'am, there would be popular support and sentiments for Turkey, for India in the hearts of Turkey people, which can also help us in case any Indian diaspora is residing over there, ma'am.
Okay, I think we've come to the end of your formal part of your interview. Thank you very much. And we will, before we give you our feedback, you let us know how you felt and if you have any questions.
Ma'am, I think I was caught off guard in questions comparing all the three states, because generally I've been asked comparison of Gujarat and Kerala only. So my Delhi exposure is something very low. So I need to read upon that as well, ma'am. And I think my answers were going a bit longer side. So I might need to cut short on the length of the answers.
I didn't think your answers were long. You were able to explain yourself very well and you were crisp. In some of the questions, answer to sir, maybe you went a bit beyond, but I think you're an excellent candidate. You have everything going for you. Maybe you need not be so rigid, with your hands absolutely like a robo. You can be a little more relaxed. I don't know if you're relaxed or not. I see a little sweat.
That was the temperature is a bit high. I came walking, so
you're still
outside, yes.
Yeah. So don't be nervous at all. You're an absolutely outstanding candidate, and I can really not give you any advice. I don't think. How much marks did you get in the last interview?
Ma'am, I got 201 in the last interview.
Wow. So you have to better it by another 25 marks.
Yes,
which is the maximum in UPSC interview. You are absolutely capable of doing it.
Thank you.
No doubt about it.
A couple of observations. Once, perhaps because you have been walking, you need to have a shiny shoe.
Yes, sir. Sure.
Keep that in mind. Otherwise, your dress is quite fine. When you entered, perhaps also because you were walking and you were flustered, you were a little bit off guard. So you greeted the men first before the lady.
Yes, sorry. Yes.
So that was something which was very noticeable.
Yes.
Otherwise, you have fared very well in my assessment, much better than your last score.
Thank you, sir.
So I can tell you that you have been an excellent candidate.
Thank you,
and
sir.
just keep it at when is your interview?
So the dates aren't out yet.
Good. So you have a lot of time, and take it easy. Be relaxed. Be informative. To read on current affairs along with your DAF areas,
Yes.
and see which current affair thing will affect your DAF things that you have written, because those things on the day of the interview and a day or two before will certainly be asked,
Yes, sir.
and that you should master
Yes, sir.
very well. Okay, all the best to you.
Thank you, sir.
All the best.
You'll do very well.
I had a small question.
Yeah, please sit
better,
down.
better.
I think two questions I couldn't understand. I understood the crux of the question, ma'am, but I was not clear on the question. So is it fine if I seek clarification?
Yes,
Yes,
absolutely.
yes, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Rather than second guessing and coming up with some tangentially opposite answer, please ask.
In fact, sometimes the question is fuzzed deliberately.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, keep that in mind. So you can
So-
always ask for clarity.
Yeah, as long as it happens during the whole interview once or twice, it is fine. If you do it more times, then it will be seen as if you are trying to buy time.
Okay, sir.
So it can go in the negative way also.
Okay.
As long as it is limited to once or twice genuine questions that you have not understood, it's fine to ask, to repeat the question,
Okay, sir.
which you did. Okay,
Thank you, sir.
all right.
And also because you have joined DANIX now,
Yes.
which is such a wide geography of India.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you should also be like, that puts more burden on you. That apart from your international relations, you should also be aware of developmental challenges of these far-flung areas, no? Arunachal to Andamans.
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right.
Thank you, sir. All the best.
Thank you.